you off with an application. So let's take a look at that application really quickly. It was V in my MVC application. And we had made ourselves a couple of different templates. So index.html and showusers.html that were identified by these particular routes. So let's just look at it, take a look at it. And let's go ahead and play with it and make ourselves a form on our index.html. And we're going to make a form so we can kind of see how you can pass information back and forth in Django. Excellent. All right, so form. And we're going to send it to, let's call it new user. All right. And we're going to have an input. That type is going to be text, and it's going to have a name equals first name. Pretty simple little form. And an input type of submit and a value equals submit. So that's kind of how we've been setting up forms prior to this. So method equals post. Excellent. So hopefully everybody feels relatively comfortable with this type of form. Basically, we have this form. It's going to go to the route new user if we had one. We don't quite have one yet. It's going to have a method of post, and all we're going to get from this input form is this first name, and hopefully it's going to come through in some sort of immutable dictionary object, just like it did in Flask. All right, so let's go ahead and check that out. So let's go to our URLs. Pull our URLs up over here. Let's make ourselves a new URL. We'll add a comma here. And we need to go URL r quote and set up our regex pattern and new user and views. Oops, we need to close that guy. Sorry. And we'll just call this new. Well, we'll call it create. How's that sound? All right, so basically when we go to new user, we're going to go and try to create a new user. We're not actually going to create and go to the database or anything. I just want to show you passing information back and forth. Maybe we can even start set session. All right, excellent. So off to views we go. So we hit new user, hopefully, and it's actually going to break, and we'll show how to fix that break and talk about why that break occurs. All right, so def create request. And this is one of the deviations from Flask, is that we need to determine what method we're using. So if request.method equals post, then we can do stuff. If it doesn't equal post, then we're going to do something else. So we'll set that logic in a second. And what we're going to do if it equals post, we're going to print request.post. And realize this is a capital post. Yes, it's case sensitive. It's kind of annoying. And we'll print some stars too, because who doesn't love to watch me try to print stars and type 8s instead? Yes, I did it right for once. Times 50. All right. Do that above and below. All right. And then else. So if it's not request method equals post, and we'll print request method too, just to get a sense of what it is. Then otherwise, we're going to return redirect to home. All right, we don't have a redirect yet, so we need to add that. So just like we did in Flask, where we had like render template and redirect and session and all those things, we need to have redirect here as one of the shortcuts. Excellent. So let's go ahead and check this out and watch it break. So our server should be fine. There's our server. We saved it. It changed stuff. All right, going to localhost Chrome. There's our form. All right, let's go ahead and submit something. And here it goes, breaking time. All right, so notice this code here, CSRF verification failed. So this is cross-server request forgery. So this is basically a token that gets added to our page that basically makes sure that the form that we're submitting got generated by the server that actually it's getting sent back to. And so all we need to do is basically add this little piece of code here, this little snippet, curly brace, parentheses, CSRF underscore token, parentheses, end curly brace, to our form. All right, so we can go over to our form, back to our index.html, and just basically shove it right on in. Whoa, that's not where I want to shove it though. All right, So just like that. So basically, Django is going to render the CSRF token automatically for us. So let's go ahead and retry this. All right. So restart our server. Go back to our localhost, and now we should be able to submit this thing. Mike, submit. All right. New user, there's still so no response, which just makes sense. But let's go ahead and see what happened. Hey, check this out. So here's our stars. Here's that dictionary object that we got back. It's a query dictionary versus an immutable dictionary object, but it still can be accessed kind of the same way. So basically, we can say, get this key value from request.post of Mike, or if we wanted to, we could even get that middleware token that kind of verified that this thing came from our server versus somebody else's server. Excellent. Okay, so that was kind of one of the big things I wanted to point out. The second thing I want to point out is session. And you've probably been noticing this and wondering what the heck this means. This is basically how Django sets up its database. And in Django, session is part of that setup event. And so we basically are going to have to make these weird migration things, and we'll talk about that in just a second. All right, excellent.